Hey, what up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another live stream. Bitcoin is having a pullback. Bitcoin is having a pullback. So I thought it would be a great idea to give you guys an update on the price of Bitcoin. Because if you watch my BTC price analysis, I am looking at retesting $96,000. So I wanted to make sure that I talk about today's pullback. Is this something that we should worry about? Is this going to be the beginning of a bigger move? What are my thoughts on the current price of Bitcoin? Do I still believe we are going to see $96,000? We also had a big pullback across the altcoin market. So I do want to give you guys an update on that as well. So once again, welcome back to the channel, guys. I hope you are having an amazing Tuesday. If this is your first time right here, just do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. If you're watching, hit the like button. And let's talk about this market right here. Hopefully you guys can see this. Hopefully you can hear me. I just readjusted my microphone. I'm actually standing up right now. So, I do hope there is no technical difficulties. All right. Where do we start? So let me get myself situated right here. Once again, I move some stuff around. I'm actually standing. So hopefully this is coming. Hopefully this is coming out perfect. And hopefully my sound is not too bad. Hopefully there's no puffs and getting cut off. That was one of the issues that I was trying to fix. So, okay, I think it looks good. Good. All right, so yeah. All right, welcome back to the channel, guys. So let's get to it. Let's not waste time. Let's jump straight to the point and talk about what we are seeing right here. Bitcoin is having a pullback from $95,000 actually, from $95,000 to $92,000. My prediction is that we are looking at a Bitcoin that retests this trend line right here that is going to act as a resistance. I'm looking at $96,000 and $98,000. If you go from these highs right here, it gives us a target of $96,000, $98,000. So to me, this is not something to worry about. All right, this pullback right here, I wouldn't worry about it at all. I was not expecting the price of Bitcoin to get to $96,000 in a straight line. There's always going to be pullbacks. If we go down to the 1 hour, you can clearly see we are having a pullback right here. But the structure is very positive. So we continue to have these higher highs and higher lows. All right, a bit of a bigger pullback on the 1 hour right here. But nothing has changed, especially if you go to the 4 hour time frame. So in the short term, I'm looking at this. $90,000 support on the 4 hour. And I think this is a place where BTC is more likely to get some support. Probably this is already the end of this pullback. If I'm looking at this candle right here, probably this is already the end of the pullback. But we'll see how this plays out, and we'll see how long this is going to take. But I don't think we are going to lose the 200 moving average on the 4 hour. So that is basically $90,000. I don't think we are going to see the price of BTC below $90,000 before we get to $96,000 and $98,000. So yeah, basically, there's really nothing to worry about. This is a healthy pullback. There was always going to be a pullback. We were never, well, maybe not never. We were never going to see, BTC go from 86,000 to 96, $98,000 in a straight line. Even if you look at the first impulse move right here, it was never a straight line. We had these pullbacks right here. We had a red daily candle. Even right here, we had, a couple more red daily candles right here. We actually came back to around, $83,000 before we were back to 94,000. Even this one right here, we had some pullbacks right here. So yeah, more likely it was never going to be a straight line. So, I'm looking at this, and I don't think there's anything to worry about. But what I am going to say is that we are very close to the top of this move. I don't think BTC goes above $100,000. Could we go above $100,000? Probably. But what I'm saying is that, at least my opinion, once the price is closer to this yellow, once the price is around $96,000, $98,000, if you have a position from, the $80,000 range, I think this is a good place to start taking some not even start taking. You should look 94,000. I think starting to take profits right here to me makes a lot of more sense. And once we get around $96,000, $98,000, I would say 99% exiting the position will be the right thing to do. If you go to the weekly, we talked about potentially retesting the 21 weekly moving average. Right now, the 21 weekly is exactly at $98,789. So BTC 94,000, the 21 weekly moving average $98,000. We are very, very close to the top. If this is where the price of Bitcoin is heading, if we are going to retest the 21 weekly moving average, we are much, much, much closer to the top of this move. And this is why, if you ask me, do I think this is the right time to trade Bitcoin? Do I think this is the time to jump into a long position? Yeah, I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so. I prefer, entry somewhere back in, the $85,000, $87,000 range. In the low 90,000, I'd rather stay on the sideline and, wait and see see where we get rejected, and then look for some trading opportunities. That will be my update on Bitcoin. I don't want to get into the long. Well, actually, you know what? Probably not. Anyway, yeah, we'll just stop right there. And then you look at Ethereum, okay? Ethereum is having a nice move right here. If I'm looking at Ethereum, it is coming up towards some incredible resistance, probably already is actually. All right, very close to the resistance right here. Also very close to the 200 daily moving average. This is a declining 200 daily moving average for for the third time in the history of, well, not the history, for the third time in this bull market. So here we had a declining 200, which wasn't really. Let me get back to this. So here we had a declining 200 moving average. Not once did we get rejected by it. Here we had another one. Not once did we also get rejected by it. So right now, we'll see if the 200 is going to reject us. If we do get rejected by the 200 moving average, I think that is a major, major, major concern for the price of Ethereum. And in terms of your next price target, you have to go from the top right here all the way down to the bottom right here. And you have to go like this. Look, you can go like this, or you can simply go like this, from the breakdown. So if we go from below $3,000, this gives us a target of $2,000. Surprisingly, this $2,000 range is exactly this $2,100 major, major, major support. So yeah, we'll see how this all plays out. But to me, this is not looking pretty good. That is Ethereum, all right? Also very closer to the top than it is to the bottom. Other projects, Solana. Let me give you guys an update on Solana. So I'm looking at Solana right here. Now, this one I think could potentially go just a little higher. If Solana is going to do what it did in the last bear market, where price went back and retested 21 weekly moving average, that would give us a $156 Solana. All right. Now, remember, this is a moving average. So probably by the time we get to the 21 weekly, instead of 156, we could be around 152 or maybe $150. So if I'm looking at 138, to me, once again, I do think we are very closer to the top of this move. And also, if we are talking about the $150 range, this is how much resistance we are going to face. Once we start getting into, once we hit 146, you already start facing resistance. And, it's incredible when you look at this range right here from 146 up to 170. So, again, not a good time to try to do anything crazy in terms of trading. There's still opportunities, and I do think the market probably goes a little higher, but you want to make sure the risk is worth it, all right? The higher the price in the short term, the more likely the top is coming in. Another indicator that I'm actually watching right now is the daily RSI. I think once you get an overbought daily RSI, probably is a good time to get out. All right. In a bear market, RSI overbought is one of the strongest exit indicators. So if we can go back to past bear markets, I'll show you guys an example. So this is the RSI right here, and we are going to look for an overbought RSI. So if we go back, we're looking at Solana right here. I want to go all the way back to 2022. Which is right here. All right, here we had a big rally from $77 to $145. Overbought RSI right here, guys. That was a great time to get out. All right. Once again, we don't know exactly where the top is. No one is going to time the exact top. But a strategy like this one, where once a downtrend has been identified and you look for overbought RSI as your exit, I think that is, something that's going to be useful, and you are more likely to do very well and avoid these traps. These are traps right here, guys. So this one, overbought RSI, good time to get out. Here you have another one. All right, you don't get many of them actually. I mean, the RSI does come into the 60s. So here you have RSI, pushing up into the 60s. Great time to get out every single time. So this one around 47 after a big rally from $25 to 47. Good exit right here. And then you have another one right here, good exit. And then you also have another one right here. This one was extremely overbought. around 88. Yeah, this is a bull market behavior right here. And that was also another great exit strategy. So I'm looking at the current RSI. Look, it is already in the 60s. Going back to the bear market that we just talked about, you clearly saw that every time the RSI was in the 60s, it was a good time to get out. So I'm looking at Solana right now, and I think it is closer to the top. I don't. Many of you guys may be thinking, how could we be closer to the top when we just started going up? Well, that's the beauty of an uptrend. That's the beauty of a day cap bounce, guys. They don't really last. It's only for a couple of days, and then price goes down again. If you think about how long Solana has been going up, it is actually, it's not just right now. You have to go back from, the lows of this pullback, which was around mid-December, $116. So if you go from 116 until the most recent high, $143, this is a 22% gain. Sometimes this day cap bounce can be bigger, all right? Sometimes we could get an 80% move, depending on how small the token is. Sometimes a 100, 200% move. But, the bigger tokens with bigger market caps, a 20% move, a 50% move, those are normally good times to take profits. So Solana is already up more than 20%. It could potentially go higher, push into the $150 range, and that gives you a 30% move. So 30%, 20%, I would say very, very, very close to the top of the entire dead cat bounce. So that would be that basically is my outlook on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, guys. Once again, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are having an amazing Tuesday. If this is your first time right here, subscribe, hit the like button, and let's keep on going. Let's keep going. I will take a look at Jasmy. Jasmy had an incredible move, I got to say. Jasmy had an incredible move. So just give me a second. Oh my gosh. All right, let's take a look at Jasmy. Holy smoke, man. Look at this. Oh my God, this is incredible. Surprisingly, I think it was yesterday. So, yeah, I think maybe was it yesterday, maybe 2 days ago. Somebody asked me about Jasmy and. Anyways, wait, hold on. What are you doing? All right. So, anyways, yeah, let's talk about Jasmy. So, Jasmy had an incredible move. I mean, this is unbelievable. You go from the lows right here up until here. This is a 75% move. During a bear market, when it comes to crypto, I personally always look at my 21 weekly moving average. I know you guys are probably getting tired of this, but just try to keep things very simple, guys. So I always look at my 21 weekly, and I'm always anticipating that at some point the price will pull back to its 21 weekly moving average. And this is exactly what Jasmy just did. All right. Jasmy has managed to pull back to its 21 weekly moving average. In my opinion, this is not a prediction. I think the move is most likely coming to an end. Could I be wrong? Can the price continue higher? Absolutely yes, guys. But what I can do is bet on historical performance. Look, here we had a rally back to the 21 weekly. That was the end of the move. Even though, price managed to slightly go above the 21 weekly. It wasn't the beginning of, another uptrend. It was nothing more than a day cap bounce, hit the 21 weekly, got rejected, and then we ended up with a pullback. We had another one right here where price went from 1 cent all the way up to 2 cents. Once again, broke above the 21 weekly moving average, but wasn't able to hold the 21 weekly. And that was the beginning of the move. And we ended up with a retracement of the entire move, but not just the entire move. We took out the lows and we ended up with, this is like a 30% drop right here. We ended up with a 48% drop. So I'm looking at Jasmy right here. And, I'm basically looking at exactly this. All right. I think this is more likely the end of this move, or this move is coming towards the end, and you are more likely going to see a rejection. Give it about, today is Tuesday, so this is a weekly candle. So give it about Sunday. Let's see where the price of Jasmy is by the end of Sunday. And if this is not the end of it, then we'll take a look at where we are by the end of next week. But probably a good time to take profits right now. If you go down to the 4 hour, this is extremely extended, guys. If we go to the daily, you look at the RSI, this is exactly what I'm talking about. When I say, hey, overbought daily RSI, it is normally a very good exit strategy. So to me, this right here screams take profits, get out. You don't know exactly where the top is, but most likely we are topping. All right, we are most likely topping right now. I'll give you some examples. The last time we had these major rallies. Look, the last one was right here. These are big moves, man. This is not a 20% move right here. Look, this was a 90% move. This one is only 75%. This was a 90% move. RSI 78. Great time to get out. This was another big one right here. All right, this one was actually 130%. RSI overbought not once, not twice, but 3 times. RSI overbought 3 times. A good time to get out. So I'm looking at Jasmy right now, and I'm telling you right now, this is more likely a great time to take profits if you do have a position. And if you don't have a position, but you're looking at Jasmy and you are interested in longing Jasmy from right here, what I would say to you is this does not look good to me. All right, probably, depending on what your strategy is, probably this looks really good. But for me personally, and based on my experience, I don't think this is a good time to be jumping into this position, especially when your RSI is in the higher 70s. Not a good time at all. So, yeah, look, a good time to jump in was probably somewhere back here. Even last night, to be honest, definitely a good time to get in, looking at it right now, because we ended up with a 30% move. I think the last time I analyzed it, and somebody was asking me, what I said was that, I'm looking at some risk. If I'm risking about, I don't know what the risk was at the time. I can probably go back to my YouTube and pull that up. I think what I was saying was that, if I'm jumping in right here, I want to make sure my profits are, more than what the risk is. So I think I was looking at a 15 to like a 20-something% move. And that's basically what I was looking at the time. So based on that strategy or on that outlook, this would have been a good entry. Stop loss below the most recent lows, which was right here. And this is a position that I would have done very well, even if I would have took profits, maybe somewhere around here or somewhere up here. All right. This is just amazing. This entire move was just amazing. Throwbacks when I only use this channel for Jasmine. I mean, good old days, right? Those were the great old days. But we are here. As long as the project, is alive, as long as we still have a market, we'll keep up with Jasmine. Jasmine pumping, yeah, of course. All coins are bro. You said all coins are dead, and Sui pumped 50% in a week. Absolutely, guys. All coins are dead. Look, this is what I said, right? I said all coins are dead, but there's going to be relief rallies, guys. Right? Look, I'm not saying that I'm right on these projects, but what I'm saying is that trend wise, if we are looking at monthly and if we are looking at weekly, guys, all coins are absolutely dead. Sui, we talked about Sui. All right, I gave you guys a Sui trade where the entry was right here around $1.40, and I gave you targets, 225 and 227. So when I say all coins are dead, I'm not talking about that there won't be a pump. Guys, there is going to be a pump. But when you zoom out and you look at monthlies, these projects are dead. All right, these projects are absolutely cooked. And I'm going to tell you right now, guys, and I actually already said this. The worst thing that can happen to your altcoins is exactly what we have right now. And I believe I said this already. The worst thing that can happen to your altcoins is exactly what we have right now, guys. A dead cat bounce is the worst thing that can happen to your project because we need the market to go up so we can dump again. All right. Excuse me. We need the market to go up so the market can dump again because we're not just going to die, all right, where price goes down in a straight line, all the way down to wherever the bottom is, right? There is going to be exactly what we have right now. There is going to be day cap bounces. The markets are going to rally, guys. That is the nature of the market. But in my opinion, I think altcoins are absolutely cooked. Bitcoin, I think, is absolutely cooked. All right. You look at Bitcoin monthly, it does not look good. I analyze it for you guys. I gave you my outlook on it. I showed you why I'm not very convinced with the current price action. I was very bullish when BTC started consolidating and breaking out on the daily. But when you zoom out and you look at the bigger picture, so I have updates right here. This is my Solana update, but these are bigger time frames. So I can tell you right now, bigger time frame wise, nothing has changed. Right? The current price action has not changed anything. And speaking of that, guys, there is one project that I absolutely want to talk about. But this goes to every project. It's not just this one. XCN. Look, XCN just went up about 200 and something percent. And I know some of you guys, not you specifically, but I know people are looking at this and they are celebrating and are already talking about how this is a project that is going back to its all-time high. Chat, if you were able to participate in this pump right here and you were able to capture this 200% move, congratulations. But I hope you take some profits because this is not the beginning of anything. Look, the worst thing that can happen to XCN is exactly what we just got. This 200% pump. Because what's coming next is a 80% drop from the top of this move right here. Look, this is not the first time it's gone up 200% throughout this entire crash, guys. We had almost a 300% right here. Look at this right here, chat. All right, XCN went up 250% sometimes in June of 2025. All right, and I'm sure people went crazy during this pump right here, and they were talking about the beginning of some crazy XCN bull market. But guess what, guys? When you go from the top of this move right here all the way down, look, this is an 80% drop. And I'm telling you right now, maybe not 80%, but the worst thing that can happen to this project is exactly what we just got right here. I see a move that is going to bring the price of XCN all the way down here. And this is almost a 90% crash. Right? This is almost a 90% crash. Guys, look, I'm not hating. All I'm doing is just following the trend of this market. If the trend was to change, weeks from now, let's say XCN was to establish a long-term uptrend. Guess what? I'm going to be bullish on the project. I am going to flip bullish. And I'm going to start talking about how we are going to see new all-time highs. And I am going to start predicting 200% moves, 300% moves, 400% moves. But when it looks like this, all right, when it looks like this, I want to make sure I am on the side of the trend. And right now, the trend is down. Okay, the trend is down on the higher time frame, despite this almost 200% move right here. Actually, a 200% move. Okay? Despite this 200% move, nothing has changed. Now, short term, the trend is up right now. When you go to the 4 hour, all right, this is an XCN that is absolutely bullish. If you go to the 1 hour, this is an XCN that is absolutely bullish. We are seeing higher highs and higher lows. And that's exactly what a bullish token looks like. So if you ask me, is XCN bullish in the short term? I'll have to say absolutely yes. Now, is this a good time to jump in? In my opinion, absolutely not. All right. In my opinion, I think this move is most likely coming to an end. All right. A good time to trade XCN. It could have been way earlier. So I'll give you guys multiple examples. All right. Like right here would have been a good time to jump in. Let me show you something. I can clearly see this was a bullish divergency. So probably building a position somewhere around here would have been a good place. Or just right after we got this breakout right here, this would have been a good place. Or, all right, right here, after this pullback, and then once we got the breakout, this would have been a good place to jump in. If you want to trade it right now, guess what you have to do? You have to stay on the sideline, and you have to wait for another breakout. If you get another breakout, this is your entry. Then you look for your exits, all right, somewhere around here. And then you simply put your stop loss just right below the most recent lows. So in this case, let's say the lows come in right here. You put your stop loss right here. But remember, this is a short-term trade. This is not a long-term trade. So when you ask that a couple weeks ago, I said all coins were cooked. Absolutely, guys. But guess what? This is exactly what all coins do. This is exactly what markets do. All right. Markets don't go down in a straight line. There is going to be rallies. And I think this is something that we talked about many times on my channel, guys. I never said we were going down in a straight line. All right. Not once did I ever said that we were going straight down in a straight line. Absolutely not. All right. I know markets are going to rally because you need these rallies before you get the next big drop. Just like in the bull market, you need pullbacks before you get the next big pumps. Right? This is the nature of the market. But you have to be careful. You have to make sure you time your entries, and you also have to make sure you time your exits. So if you're looking at altcoins right now and you jumping into some of this stuff, it might be too late, especially the ones that are already closer to their 21 weekly moving average. It might be too late. All right. I'm not hating. I'm just looking at the trend. This is not hating. Just looking at the trend. And I'm not saying that you think I'm hating. I just want to put that out. That if you want to be a trend follower, which is exactly what I believe seems to be the best investment strategy when it comes to technical analysis. All right. Being on the right side of the trend. If the market is trending up, you want to make sure you're bullish on the market, and you want to make sure you buy the dips. If the market is trending down, you want to make sure you bearish on the market, and you want to make sure you short the rips. All right? You don't want to be the person that's only bullish. That doesn't make any sense to me, especially when it comes to altcoins. Altcoins are bearish for multiple years, and they're only bullish for a couple months. Why would you want to only be bullish for a market that is bearish for multiple years and it's only bullish for a couple of months. Now, BTC, all right, even when it comes to Bitcoin, you don't just want to be bullish the entire time. All right, there's going to be time when Bitcoin is bearish. So you want to make sure, you stay neutral. You don't care what the market do. What you care about is, making profits from the market. All right, being on the right side of the trend. Anyways, let's analyze a couple more. What do we have right here? Any meme coins that have a good setup. And some of them, actually no, meme coins have some of the biggest rips. Let's analyze a bunch of these stuff. So the meme coins seems like are the bigger winners, throughout this entire move. If I'm looking at not Dogecoin, if I'm looking at WIF, WIF had an incredible move. But let's be serious and let's be, very transparent and let's be very objective actually. This is not bullish when you zoom out and you go to the weekly. All right, chat. I want you guys, honestly, I want you guys to tell me, is this a setup that looks bullish long term? Right? You tell me, does this look bullish long term? Do you have a setup where price is more likely to do this? I don't think so, guys. What you have is a setup where price is more likely to do this. And you are going to have moves like this, all right? And this is exactly what we are experiencing right now. So if I'm looking at WIF, look, this is one of the top meme performer, in the last couple of days. It's gone from around 25 cents all the way up to around 50. This is already a 100% increase. All right, actually 89%, almost 90. All right, this is one of the best performer, but this is in the short term. All right, this is not a long-term trend. If I'm looking at WIF and I go to the daily, we are at a place where, when you look at it, it is approaching major resistance around 60 cents. I do think it will be very hard for WIF to overcome this 60 cents resistance. The 21 weekly moving average is very, very reliable. All right. I don't think price is going to break above the 21 weekly moving average and continue to go on. Just like the last time, we broke above the 21 weekly. All right, here we broke above the 21 weekly, but guess what? This was the end of the move. Here we broke above the 21 weekly. Guess what? This was also the end of the move. So even if, we do manage to break above the 21 weekly, right now, that will be the price of WIF getting above 53 cents. All right. I don't think that is going to give us anything sustainable above the 21 weekly moving average. So what that means to me is that probably, and this is with a higher likelihood, probably this is a good place if we do trade in this range right here, all right, between 50 cents and 67. Probably this is a good place where your profits should have been taken. And even right now, probably a good place to start taking profits if your entry was lower and you up anywhere between 30 to 40%. All right, probably this is a good place to start exiting. So if I'm looking at WIF, in my opinion, the only way for me to trade this is if I'm right here. All right, I am looking for a setup. Okay, this could be a setup right here. If I'm jumping in right here, my stop loss will be very, very tight. I'm putting a stop loss just right below 40 cents. And I'm aiming for, my first target will be around 52 cents. So this trade right here, I'm risking about 8% of my capital. And I'm going after some 20% profits. To me, Look, not the best trade, risk to reward wise, but a very good trade. Maybe I'll go a little higher if I think we might push all the way up to around 60 cents. Now my risk still 8%, but profit wise, I'm targeting, almost a 40% move. So I do think approaching it like this, will make sense to me. Now, do I see a setup on the 1 hour? I do think so. On the 4 hour, though, however, if we do get a continuation of this pullback, you might want to move your stop loss to just right below 38 cents. But if you move your stop loss below 38 cents, the thing is, now your risk has improved. So you have to make sure whatever profit target you're going after is much bigger than 20%. What I am going to say too is that I do not like the look of this daily candle right here. Now, this has not closed, so we do have a couple more hours, but I don't like this. This to me looks like sellers are starting to step in, and they might be in control of the market at the time being. So I want to see something that doesn't look like this. All right, I want to see what this will do in the next couple hours. Bunk, all right, Bunk has been amazing. I believe it was up. How much was Bunk up? So if you go from the bottom, interestingly, speaking of Bunk, look, we tried to trade it right here with a stop loss below these lows. We got stopped out, okay? Came down, consolidated, and look at this, guys. Look, exactly the same move I was looking for. But instead, I got stopped out. Price came just right below my stop loss, consolidated for a little bit, and then bang. I do have this trade, guys. I can share with you guys if you just give me a second. All right, this is a trade I took with the members in my Discord. I think the risk was about, I think less than 10%, maybe 10%, something like that. So if you guys are interested in joining my Discord, feel free, guys. But that is, yeah, that's a trade that we try to take. And then, of course, we got smoked. So it is right here. Right here. Look, this was a trade, guys. We were going after like a 70% move with a stop loss below this, and I think we definitely got smoked. So if you come back right here, this was the 2nd of December or whatever. Yeah, that was the one. That was the one right here. So stop loss below, and we got smoked. Price just came back just right below our stop loss. But as you can see, look, now the price came exactly to my target, and it is what it is, right? Like, what can you do? This is the reality of trading. So anyways, just looking at Bunk, so a good place to get in to me was definitely right here, or just right here, right after this breakout. Stop loss below this yellow line. Profit target right here is good. When you go to the weekly, I'm looking at the 21 weekly moving average. Look, that's exactly where the price came close to. So I use the 21 weekly moving average to kind of think about where the price is most likely to retest, if we do get a large move. So Bunk, right now, I do not like it because I think the move is most likely over. And I do think, pretty soon we start another major downtrend. Yo, there is nothing for me here to like when it comes to Bunk long term. If I'm looking at this chart right here, to me, this thing looks disgusting. If I'm on the weekly and I'm looking at this, I want to stay as far away from Bunk as I can. But in the short term, if there's a setup, guess what? Take advantage of it. But just so you know, it is a short-term trade. It's not a long-term trade. Go in it for a couple of days. Get out as quickly as you can when your targets are hit. This is not those times where pullbacks are buy opportunities. Absolutely not. So that is Bunk, all right? Another meme coin. What is another one? Another one is some of our most recent trades too as well, guys. We got AVAX. Look, AVAX is just not doing anything. And then we also have, we have Near Protocol. Near Protocol looks pretty good. This is a trade that we talked about right here. All right, it is currently doing pretty well. This was our entry stop loss just right below $1.40. This is a trade that is currently already up about 22%. So a trade like this, I'm going to be very honest with you. Regardless of what happens to the price, you walk away with profits. Right now, if you are still waiting for, this $1.95 to get hit, just make sure you raise your stop loss, right? Just put your stop loss just right below $1.65. Or since we already up about 20%, you should take 50% of your profits off, and then, the other 50% wait until price gets to $1.75. If we go to the weekly, $1.95, excuse me. If we go to the weekly, I'm looking for the 21 weekly moving average. 21 weekly still somewhere around $2.12. To me, that tells me the Near Protocol could potentially go just a little bit more higher. These tokens, they love coming back to the 21 weekly. And this is why the 21 weekly is a very, very useful tool. All right, so make sure you have that in your toolboxes. Other projects, we talked about so many of them. CRV, look, a very good trade, currently in profit, but it's just not moving. Some of these tokens, they're just extremely frustrating, all right? It's just not moving. But guess what, guys? Perfectly fine. You can't win all of them. XRP. How many of you guys were here when we talked about XRP? Great entry right here around the $1.80 something cents. And we were targeting this $2.30 range. $2.30, $2.20. This is exactly where we were targeting. So when you go to the weekly and you look at the 21 weekly moving average, guys, you absolutely can't make this up. So if you go back to my most recent live streams where we talked about altcoins, all right, I think XRP was one of them. XRP, I'm looking for XRP. This is SUI right here. Spent a lot of time talking about SUI and AVAX. This is Aerodrome. We talked about the trade from 40 cents. It ran all the way up to around 60 something. A very good trade. Yeah, we talked about XRP. I just don't know in which video. Maybe somewhere around. Probably somewhere around. Maybe this one right here from 8 days ago. Hey, here we go. CRV right there, 39 cents. You see I was looking for a pullback. We did get one. God, what is XRP? XRP, you got to be somewhere around here, buddy. AVAX. Yeah, I spent too much time on AVAX. But anyways, yeah, XRP, somewhere around there, guys. Just go through my live streams. Somewhere around there. Maybe here. Probably. There you go. Yeah, it should be right here. Look, Stellar. We talked about Stellar. I gave you guys a trade. Look, 21 cents. That was the price of Stellar at the time. So if you think, just because I'm bearish on the market, there's not times where I'm bullish, I think you're making a big mistake, because I was here. I was here talking about, exactly what we have right now. I was talking about bullish divergences across altcoin daily setup, and I said, hey, this market looks like it's gonna pump in the short term. And I actually gave you about 10 to 20 days, and a couple of days after, bang, market is up. So yeah, look, Stellar right here already in profits, from 21 cents up, currently up about 12%. At some point it was up 17%, and I think it's going higher. XRP, I talked about XRP in here. What is XRP? There we go. XRP right here, guys. Look, here price was around $2, but remember, we started when XRP was way, way lower. Already hit our target, which is a fantastic, fantastic profits. So 30% move, basically. This, amazing, 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 amazing. Now, XRP, to me, the move is over. I don't think we go higher. If we do go higher, I don't think it will be the beginning of, another incredible bull market. Look, my bearish long-term thesis is going to be invalidated if we get something like this. Look, if XRP is truly beginning a new bull market, we're going to get something that looks like this, where price goes up to around $3, and then we will get a pullback where price comes down to around, maybe like 195 or somewhere around 210. And then we go up again. I promise you, all right? I promise you, if we are looking at the beginning of another long-term bull market, we are going to get something like this. A great example of that, guys, will be right here. Notice how we did get a big move, but we did get a retracement, and then we ended up going up. But my concern is this, all right? Why didn't we continue to go up? Why did we have to pull back again? To me, that is a big concern. Like, I absolutely don't like it. The fact that, after this pullback, we went up only to get rejected, all right, at the previous all-time highs, and then get this massive pullback, it doesn't make any sense. But markets don't make any sense. We take whatever the market gives us. So I'm looking at XRP right now, and I think this is the beginning of a long-term downtrend. And my target, actually, some of you guys may not like this. I'm looking at XRP, and I think this is a project that comes back and revisit these lows right here. All right, I think we're coming back into this box. We are going to refill this entire wick. Do you see this? Do you see this dump right here, chat? I think we're going to refill this entire monthly wick. Look, we already doing it. We basically 45% in. So, the other percentage that's left, I think we're going to spend the entire bear market coming all the way down here. Remember, here we're looking at a monthly time frame. So between these many months when price is going down, there's going to be times when XRP goes up. So it won't be a straight line. Like, I'm not expecting price to go from $3 down to 50 cents, like, without some sort of a retracement. And this is the mistake a lot of people are making. They're looking at these retracements and they convince themselves that this is the beginning of another bull market. That is, personally, I don't think that's what we have. The structure has been broken. These long-term structures have been broken. And we need to reestablish, a bullish structure again. We need to reestablish that. But before we get to a place where we reestablish, long-term bullish structures, since we just started breaking down, the price is more likely to go down first, all right? The bears are in control of this market right now. So they are going to drive the price down, but at some point we are going to run out of sellers. The bulls are going to come back and step in, reestablish, build the structures for long-term bullish trends, and then we can start looking at, what comes next. But I don't think we're there yet. I think we are months and probably years from anything that looks like that. Remember, when it comes to altcoins, we're talking about 6 to 12 months of a pullback. You're talking about another 6 to 12 months of a sideways consolidation. That's 2 years already. And then you're talking about, price trying to go up. That could be another 6, 12 months. That's 3 years already. And then you're talking about just a few months where, price goes up ridiculous. You get a 10x in about 2 months, 3 months. It's not right now, guys. We are miles, or should I say years, away from there. Oh my gosh, I'm just rambling at this point. So remember, we are talking about how this market is only bullish short term, but long term, we are cooked. All right, we are absolutely cooked long term, guys. Some of these charts right here. All right, you guys, you love the MACDs. Look, this is a monthly MACD on XRP. Chat, this is a monthly MACD on XRP. Let me ask you guys a question. When you have a MACD like this, is this a buy signal or a sell signal? All right, for some of you guys who are, who think I'm reading this market wrong, when you have a MACD that looks like this is on the monthly, all right? Is this a buy or is this a sell? If I go to the weekly, the MACD look different. On the weekly, this is the MACD right here. If I go to the daily, the MACD is giving you what? It gave you a buy signal, all right, recently. But remember, this is days, All right, here we're talking about months. So months are more important than days. So when you have a MACD like this on the monthly, are you a buyer or are you a seller? When it comes to me, looking at this, I'm definitely not a buyer. I am a seller with a MACD that looks like this. Anyways, Chainlink. Let me take a look at Chainlink. Somebody asked me about Chainlink. Another person asked about GRT. Link, man, super bad. Link on the monthly, not looking good. All right, not looking good on the monthly. But we're not here to talk about monthly. Let me talk about daily. On the daily, all right, good time to get in was definitely back here. This is not, look, for me, the risk is not worth it when it comes to Chainlink at this point right now. If I'm looking at my 21 weekly, it's around $15. Yeah, I don't like it. All right, I'm not going to try to get in and take profits around 15 bucks. Absolutely not, guys. Once again, why do I keep going back to this blue line? This is a 21 weekly moving average. Yo, chat, it's very simple. You look at bear markets, price tends to come back to the 21 weekly, and we tend to get rejected around there. All right, we tend to get rejected. Look, this is a rejection. Yes, we broke above the 21 weekly, but guess what? Ended up with a major drop. Here's another one. Now, this one, we actually hit the 21 weekly moving average and then ended up with a major crash. This one right here, once again, price managed to get above the 21 weekly. The difference right here is, we were actually still in a bull market. This is mid to late 2021. All right, here it's in a bear market. Look at how many times price retested the 21 weekly moving average in 2022 and 2023. All right, got rejected multiple times. I remember when Chainlink was consolidating in this range. Do you know how frustrating this was? All right, this is not a couple weeks, guys. Let me show you how long this took. Some of you guys were not here. Look, if I go from right here all the way until the breakout, you're looking at 490 days. All right, you are looking at 490 days. Look, there isn't too many people that are honest and that actually talk about this stuff. For 490 days, the price of Chainlink was going sideways. Every time we try to go up, got rejected by the 21 weekly moving average. And when we did overcome the 21 weekly moving average, it only turned out to be a fake out. Let me show you how many fake outs we got. Just in case you guys are thinking, what are you talking about? All right, chat, look, here we broke above the 21 weekly. Boom, that was a fake out. Look, you're thinking this is the beginning of something. Price is around $8. Only for a couple weeks later, price is back in, the mid $5 range. Here we break above the 21 weekly. Boom, that was a fake out. Here we break above the 21 weekly. Boom, that was a fake out. Here we break above the 21 weekly. Boom, that was a fake out. I remember analyzing Chainlink when Chainlink broke above the 21 weekly moving average, retested the 21 weekly moving average, and bounced off the 21 weekly. I remember how excited I got. All right, I can't prove this to you guys because I have lost my original YouTube channel. All right, and I'm not saying that I'm always right, but what I do nowadays is I want to respect the trend of the market. So what that means is that when the price is below my 21 weekly moving average, I am not interested, all right, in thinking that this is a bullish market. Yes, price is going to go up, but it won't go up long term. Only when the price goes up, comes back to the 21 holds, all right? Once the 21 manage to act as a support where price stays up, that's when I go from bearish to bullish. But right now, this is not a bullish market. So Chainlink to me is not bullish. And the fact that we are very closer to the 21 weekly, I do not like this as a potential trade because what exactly am I going after? All right. Do I really want to go after a 10% move? And if that is the case, the question is, where do I put my stop loss? All right. Do I pull my stop loss just right below? If I'm on the 4 hour, do I pull my stop loss just right below 1350? All right, is that where I pull my stop loss? This is all right. Maybe this will make sense. I'm risking about 4%. I'm going after a 10% move, but I don't want to stress over this move right here. To me, someone else can take this. I wouldn't do it. So yeah, that's basically Chainlink. I don't like it. I think earlier would have been. So yeah, earlier that would have been better. Right now, yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not a fan. All right, what is the next project? What are you guys putting in the chat? Oh my god, apologize for that. So let me see. What do we have? GRT, that was the next one. GRT, USD, graph right here. Oh, what a move, man. Look at this. This is good. The best time to get in would have been when this bullish divergency was taking place. Probably somewhere around here. This would have been a good place to get in. I'm not going to say at the absolute lows of this pullback because, I mean, no one knew this was the lows. Or just right off, right on this breakout right here. You know, right here would have been a good time to get in around 3 cents. Looking at it right now, let me see. I think price could potentially come. I think price could potentially come into this range right here. I think that's a good place. Let me go to the 4 hour. So if I'm looking at this, I think the way to trade this would be, yeah, if this is my entry, assuming the low of this pullback is in, and this is my entry, I'm going after 5 cents, and I'm simply putting a stop loss just right below 3 cents. So something like that, where I'm going after this 21% move. Stop loss is right below 0.397. Remember, this is not financial advice, guys. Do your own research. But, something like this, I think makes sense. That's on the 4 hour. Now, let me bring back my 200. But, yeah, once again, long-term wise, I mean, absolutely not. I mean, look at GRT. Speaking of how bad, these, I think people just don't want to accept the reality. Like these things, they look so bad, so bad. If you look at GRT on the weekly, I mean, to me, I would even touch this project right here, guys. To be very honest, and this is a project that traded so many times. This is a project that traded so many times in the last bull market. This right here, I do not like it. Not at all. Just think about this, chat. We are early 2026. This is January 2026. And the price is actually lower than the 2022 bear market. This is how much of a disaster this is. This is how much of a disaster this bull market was. A quick bull market. I mean, terrible. XLM, already talked about that one. H bar, I think I talked about that one as well. Did I? H bar, dude. Let's see. Yeah, I think I did. We are trading H bar. There you go, right here. Yeah, I think we are trading this one. So our entry was around. Our entry was back here, 115. No, 11 cents. Excuse me, 11 cents. And we're looking at this 15 cents target. Currently up about 11%. So if I'm looking at this, I think H bar looks good. I'm assuming, yeah, we'll probably stay above this 200 moving average. So probably a good place to get in right here with a stop loss just right below these lows right here, right below 12 cents. And the target, I have this exactly the same target if this is a trade right here. To me, this is actually a really good trade. You know, if you think about the two R's, you know, your risk and your reward. The risk is only 5%. Your profits, you're looking at 20%. To me, that looks really, really good. You know, these are the type of trades that I like, where my risk is not too much and my profits is, 3 to 4 times that. The 21 weekly is exactly almost at a target. So 21 weekly is right now exactly at 16 cents. So it wouldn't surprise me if price comes back to retest the 21 weekly moving average. The last time we retested a 21 weekly during this move right here, around 22. And then, of course, we got rejected. All right. And that was the end of the move. And we ended up with this massive dump. So, yeah, I think we could potentially push all the way up to around 15 cents. But once again, though, when you zoom out and you go to like the monthly, oh my God, this looks bad. When you zoom out, when you go to the monthly, like this to me looks really, really bad. The monthly MACD has gave you a sell signal. And what that means is that, we're more likely to experience a phenomenal pullback that will last for several months, hopefully now several years. I don't see the setup when I go to the monthly. When I go to the weekly, I don't see a setup. Like, I don't see a reason to be bullish on the monthly. You have a lower high right here. All right, and then this is a breakdown. So the structure is definitely broken. Otherwise, there was no need for the price to go below 12 cents. All right, in order for me to be bullish on this one, I mean, it will have to take so much. Price will have to, oh my gosh, price will have to like rally all the way back to about 22 cents. I will have to see a pullback that puts in a weekly higher low. Even if you just look at the Bollinger Bands, look, price will have to get above 17 cents. All right. Like, price will literally have to do this right here. We got to get above this blue line. This blue line is, I think this is a 20 weekly moving average. It's not a 21. This is the default setting. So this does not look good. And this is why, I know people don't want to hear this. All coins are cooked. Like, unless we, sometimes, a couple weeks from now, a couple months from now, unless we turn around, like this does not look good. It is not looking good at all. And I do not like it. And, the more you look at it, it doesn't make any sense to be bullish on altcoins. Like, it really doesn't make any sense. If you want to accumulate, you want a dollar cost average into these altcoins, I mean, the risk is incredible. The risk is incredible. The thing is that you don't know how long this is going to take. Some of these altcoins may continue in a long-term downtrend for multiple months, potentially multiple years. So, it's better to just stay on the sideline, see how they all play out. And then, At some point they are going to turn around. Some, not all of them, and then trade the ones that look good long term. PAX. I'm sure this is the one. Okay, see, this is the stuff that I like. This is the stuff that I'm a bigger fan of. And these are the stuff that you should be accumulating. If I'm looking at this right here, all right, PAX, bullish in every sense. And you're not looking at the 1 minute. You're looking at the biggest higher time frames. The biggest time frames. That didn't make any sense. The biggest higher. You're looking at, the higher time frames. So this is a monthly right here. You clearly have a monthly breakout, which is exactly what you want. And as long as you have a monthly uptrend, as long as the monthly is bullish, every single pullback on the lower time is an incredible buy opportunity. Look, I wouldn't look at this and say this is bearish. Absolutely not. Every single pullback, as long as the chart looks like this, I'm bearish on it. Now, let's talk about this monthly. On the monthly pullback, we could potentially get hit with a pullback, maybe come back and retest some of these lows right here. Because sometimes, when you get a breakout, price likes to come back and retest what was a resistance becomes a support. So if I'm looking at PAX, it wouldn't surprise me, but it doesn't have to, all right? But it wouldn't surprise me if there is a pullback like this, and then you get what would look like an inverse head and shoulders pattern, okay? It doesn't have to, but it wouldn't surprise me if there's a pullback. Now, if you go to the weekly, this is incredible. All right? You go to the weekly, you see a continuation of these higher highs and higher lows. You go to the daily, you see a continuation of these higher highs and higher lows. Now, the question is this, though. Is this the right time to get in? Like, is this really the right time to get in? Personally, I'm going to say no. I'm saying no not because price won't go up, but simply because I like to get in very close to the bottom of, let's say there was a pullback. I like to get in very close to the bottom of the pullback. Or I like to get in when my RSI is not extremely overbought. I'm looking at the daily RSI. It's already around, almost in the 80s. Now, once again, look, doesn't mean price is going to go down, but, it'd be better if I get in when the RSI is in the 50s, on the daily. It'll be better if I get in when the RSI on the weekly is in the 50s, before we jump into the 70s and the 60s. All right, that's where I like to get in. So if I'm looking at this one, I prefer if I would have jumped in around $13, probably around $12. Like right here, right after this breakout, we had this weekly pullback. So to me, this was the right place to get in. Now, right now, this is still bullish. If you jump in right here, you still are going to make profits, even if you do get hit with a pullback. Right? The only reason I say I like to get in early is because, based on experience, if I get in right here, they could be a pullback, and the pullback may have me panic. I may start thinking, oh, this is a reversal. This is the beginning of a bigger downtrend, when it's actually not the case. So what I like to do is I like to get in right here at the beginning of the move. So that way, I'm not anyone's exit liquidity. It doesn't mean, a couple of times I don't buy the top, but I just like to get in early. Now, if you get in right here, look, this to me looks really good. You are going to be fine. And in terms of where it is going, potentially all-time highs, basically, I'm looking at $24, especially when you zoom out and you go to the monthly. There's only two resistance that you need to worry about. You have $19.61, which is this right here. And then right after that, you have this $23.22. So I'm going to say you are more likely looking at a new all-time highs in the future. But remember, this is a monthly time frame, so this could take some time. Gold. Gold is on fire. I don't know if we want to talk about this. Look, for me, gold, I wouldn't buy it. You see this monthly right here, guys? The best time to get in was back here. This was the right time to get in. I'm looking at monthly RSI when the monthly RSI was in the 60s, in the 50s. Or The other best time to get in was back here in 2017 when the price was around $1,200. Getting in right here, I'm not saying price won't go up, but look, to me, this is a parabolic move. Yo, I don't want to jump in right here. Way, way too late. Those that got in down here probably are taking profits. Now, I know gold is a complete different ball game, but look, man, if you get a big retracement, like you could potentially get one of these retracements right here. Now, I'm not saying this is exactly what's coming, but the risk of something like that is definitely higher right now. If you get like a 30% pullback, that brings us towards, $3,000. But remember, this is gold that we are talking about. So a 30% pullback, you are talking about probably something that could take like a decade, many, 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 many years. This 40% pullback took about from 2011 until 2016. So that's 5 years right there. So think about a 5-year pullback, if we do put in a top. You start looking at sometimes in the early 2030s. All right. So, yeah. All right, let's get back to crypto, guys. Let me analyze this other one. Let's take a look at Zora. Zora USD, it's definitely not bullish long term, so we have to forget about that. Now, when you go to the daily, though, bullish divergency. Remember we talked about this, chat? Bullish. Oh my gosh, what did I do? Bullish divergency when you go to the daily. So I'm gonna say actually Zora is an amazing opportunity at the current price. It hasn't broken out. I think pretty soon we get the breakout. Maybe you don't get in right now. Maybe you wait for a breakout. All right. I thought we had a breakout right here. So look, yeah, try to break out. Ended up as a fake out, and then look at this retracement. If I'm looking at Zora, I'm looking at this 3937. I think this is a good place where we could potentially get some sort of a bounce. If you do get a bounce, let's say you get a bounce right here and price goes back to 4 cents. That is a big buyer opportunity. Jump in, because what that means is that the pullback is over and this is the beginning of a move that could potentially take the price of Zora all the way up into the 5 cents range. Chat, I just did an hour of this live stream, so I am going to end it. Let me do one more. It looks like somebody asked me. This is going to be the last one. ALCOA. Is that what I typed? Yes, I did. Oh, this one is amazing. We are actually trading this one. Once again, if you guys want to join my Discord, it's about $200 for 6 months. It's about $350 for an entire year. If you want to join me, we don't just trade crypto, we also trade stocks. So, AA, all right, this was posted 12/14. Price was around 46. And of course, guys, look at where we are right now. All right, we jumped in right here. 46. This is a position that's currently up about 39%. Another one of our trades. So basically, I'm bullish on AA, guys, and I'm expecting price to push all the way up into this, almost $100 target. So that was one of our most recent trade. I'm gonna show you another one. ASTS. We jumped in this one earlier. 74. I think we got in early, maybe like 60 something. All right, we took advantage of the pullback right here. Yeah, absolutely, yes. You see, I was looking at this $100 target. So if you go back and you look at ASTS, yo, chat. I mean, look at this beauty right here. I mean, we are absolutely killing it. All right, we are absolutely killing it. This is a position that's currently up about 54%. Once again, if you want to join my Discord, let me put a link in the chat. $200, you have access for 6 months. $350, you have access for the entire 2026. We don't just cover the cryptocurrency market. We are all over this market. That is my Discord right there, guys. Once you get into the link, send me a DM. You got to send me a DM and I will let you in right after you send me payment. But you got to DM me. I'm not going to DM you. If anyone reaches out to you pretending to be me, that is not me. You DM me, I respond to you. I don't DM you so you can respond to me. That is not the way I do it. All right. You DM me and I respond to your DM. Anyways, so this is one of our most recent trade. I'm going to share another one with you guys because there's another one that is absolutely killing it. I think this is all crypto. Z. We are in Zeta as well. So let me keep that one to myself. The other one is we're trading this one right here too. Trading this bad boy right here. I think entry was around 70 something. Already up about 10% on this trade. And yeah, looking good, guys. Looking good. Tesla, we traded Tesla from, I think, like $220. We jumped in when he was breaking out right here. This is my Discord right here, chat. Tesla. This is a Tesla. This is a trade we took. Look at right here, guys. $297. We were aiming for, 490. We got to 490. So think about that. That was right here, to whatever. That was right here. Even right now, 45% profits. But when we got to 490, that was a 60% profit. So if you want to join my Discord, once again, $200, you have access for 6 months. $350, you have access for an entire year. We don't just trade stock, crypto. We also are looking at the stock market, and we are trading the stock market, of course. And of course, the ones I post, I try to give you updates along the way. BTC, all right, BTC, another one that we were trading, looking at, blah, 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 blah. All right, every step of the way. Look, became bullish on BTC right here. You can clearly see I was aiming at this $96,000. So, yeah, guys, if you want to join the Discord, hit the link. The link should be in the chat. I pinned the link. $200, 6 months. $350, 12 months. If you have any questions, of course, I'm here. And I'm super, super active. Appreciate you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the live stream. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.